Welcome to today's live GoToTraining for Mastery, Personal Leadership and Development, MDL501. My name is Jon Nash, and I will be your host for this session. I want to thank you for taking this time to learn more about the topic of mastery and for your time and effort that you have invested into the course. Our agenda is mainly covering social intelligence in Chapter 4. I hope you're enjoying the mastery book so far. And after we talk about social intelligence, we'll hear from Lester and Elena as they outline the important details regarding your assignment this week. So stay tuned. Social intelligence is the ability to see people in the most realistic light possible. Basically, it's the ability to read people, to read between the lines, read people's body language. Mastering skills isn't enough. We have to associate with other people in life and at work. Therefore, it's imperative for us to improve our social intelligence skills. So let's talk about introverted versus extroverted personality traits for a minute. If you haven't done so already, you really owe it to yourself to evaluate who you are by taking one of the free online personality tests. You want to take one that uses the Myers-Briggs or MBTI approach. At the end of the test, it gives you 4 letters that describe your personality, and the first letter is either E or I, which stands for extroverted and introverted. Understanding your own preferred method of approaching the world and comparing it to others will tell you a lot about how you're different, how others perceive you, and most importantly, how you can adjust or modify your approach when dealing with others to get the best results in business, career, and more generally in life. For example, some of you might have introverted skills like myself. For example, some of you might have introverted traits like myself. Regardless, your social intelligence skills can improve if people know you, like you, or respect you, and trust you. Then they might be willing to work with you or hire you. But first, they have to get to know you. On page 171, Green discusses what he called the 7 deadly realities or qualities that are common in human behavior. Here's what he says. Throughout recorded history, we can detect patterns of human behavior that transcend culture and time, indicating certain universal features that belong to us as a species. Some of these traits are quite positive. For instance, our ability to cooperate with one another in a group, while some of them are negative and can prove destructive. Most of us have these negative qualities: envy, conformism, rigidity, self-obsessiveness, laziness, flightiness, and passive aggression, in relatively mild doses. But in a group setting, there will inevitably be people who have one or more of these qualities to a high enough degree that they can become very destructive. We shall call these negative qualities the 7 deadly realities. And then he goes on to say, through study and observation, we must understand the nature of these 7 deadly realities so that we can detect their presence and avoid triggering them in the first place. Consider the following as essential knowledge in acquiring social intelligence. So that's what we're talking about today and in your materials this week in the course. All right, Green believes that we can boost our social intelligence if we reduce or eliminate these 7 deadly realities. Well, what are they? Number 1 is envy. Some people think if only they could be as smart or wealthy or popular or good looking as other people, like that person or this person, then that's what will make them succeed. Some people think If only they could be a smart or wealthy or popular or good-looking person, like someone else they know, for example, then they'll be successful. Listen, don't get caught up in the comparison trap. Because you're unique and you have been designed the way you are for a purpose. Green says, seething with envy, the only way to discharge it is to find a way to obstruct or sabotage the person who elicited the emotion. There are, however, a few indications you can look for. People who praise you too much or who become overly friendly in the first stages of knowing you are often envious and are getting closer in order to hurt you. You should be wary of such behavior. Also, if you detect unusual levels of insecurity in a person, he or she will certainly be more prone to envy. Okay, number 2 is conformism. Listen, if you won't be you, then who will? Of course, we should conform to the laws of the land, but we don't have to be robots and copycats. We're creatives, right? I assume that this may be why you decided to attend Full Sail in the first place. You should see yourself as a specialist. Specialize in the art and science of being you. Why is this important? Because the more you focus on your uniqueness, the more you can highlight the unique abilities you have. This allows you to differentiate, to stand out from the crowd, and it dramatically increases your value to other people. Here's the key point, if you can surround your uniqueness with just enough conformity to get along with and relate to other people in your life. Don't give in to conformism. Be you. All right. Moving on here. Number 3 is rigidity. People who lack vision are set in their ways. It can be good in some situations, but not in others. For example, if you need surgery and you find a surgeon, you pretty much want the doctor to be more rigid in his or her approach. But in a more creative atmosphere, rigidity can be your worst nightmare. You need to be more open and fresh. In many situations in life, people tend to approach these situations with too much rigidity or legalism. Legalism is a trap that creative people don't want to fall into or even be around. What do I mean by that? If you're acting in a legalistic way, you are super focused on whether or not you or someone else is rigidly following a rule or a law. Isn't that good to follow rules? Well, yes, but when taken to the extreme, legalism quickly morphs into focusing on whether someone is following the rules instead of whether or not they are achieving the important goals that the rules were created to protect. Creatives need to be aware of the environment they choose to place themselves into, because that environment will either work with you to unleash your creativity and permit you to be yourself, or work against you to stop you, slow you down, or waste your resources. My philosophy is, rigidity is great for things that need order and organization, and even creative people need some structure that keeps them focused on a goal. But it's not great for relationships, raising kids, or managing employees. Moving on, number 4, self-obsessiveness. You know, humility is not about thinking less of yourself, but it's about thinking about yourself less. Humility and humor actually come from the same root word, so a really good test is to observe if you are able to laugh at yourself sometimes. Boy, am I learning this. Sometimes you just have to laugh because it's so ridiculous, or it's so difficult, or you mess up so badly that you just have to laugh. Try not to take yourself so seriously. All right, moving on. Number 5, according to Green, is laziness. We live in a time of instant gratification, and we need a competitive advantage as creatives. But the media and entertainment industry is highly competitive, and many people are and will be jockeying for the same position that you're pursuing. Therefore, we have to go above and beyond the call of duty to have a competitive advantage and not falling into our default pattern of laziness is a really good thing. Okay, moving on. Number 6. Next on the list is flightiness. I don't know about you, but I measure people by how their actions line up with their words. You know, what I've had to learn the hard way in life is that people often just say anything at any time without actually meaning what they say. Then you find that there is really no action to back up the thing that they said later on. So let me ask you this. Do you do what you say you will do when you're talking to other people? Don't promise more than you can deliver. However, you still should go above and beyond what is expected. My philosophy is you want to underpromise and then overdeliver. But that's all about setting expectations. That's what we call it. And that's your recipe for success. And finally, number 7 on Green's list of 7 deadly realities is passive aggression. Some people would rather hit you with subtle jabs and try to sabotage you behind the scenes while smiling with you instead of being straightforward with you. The root cause of all passive aggression is the human fear of direct confrontation. People who want to stop you from succeeding, or for whatever reason they have, there are different reasons that they have for doing that, if they are afraid of confrontation, they may simply work against you behind your back without ever communicating with you. Be aware of what people say to you and also what they appear to do when you're not around. If you notice a pattern that shows an inconsistency between the way someone treats you to your face and the actions they take the rest of the time, then there may be some passive aggression. Try to think about this from a personal perspective. This is my advice to you. Are you a difficult person to talk to? I've had to think about that many times. Are you making it challenging for anyone else around you to be honest? Sometimes we have our ideals are so high that people don't want to it's so different than the way things are that people don't want to be honest with you. Other times people are trying to jockey for position and they become yes man, yes woman. So in other words, they just say yes to, for example, in the workplace, whatever the leader says, just say yes. Well, that might get you some points and make people happy in the room at the moment, but a leader really needs, doesn't just need a positive response. The value in having other people give you feedback is discovering the times when things didn't go right or things aren't working. That's the real value of the feedback. If everything's going okay, then why even have a meeting or a communication in the first place? Also remember that much of what we experience as passive aggression may not be about us at all. It might be all about the other person and the struggles they are going through. Okay, now let's hear from Lester Frederick as well as Elena Rogal as they outline the important details about your assignments for the week. I know many of you have been waiting for this, and then I'll be around for questions.
And now we're going to transition to what is due this week. And I know some of you, that's what you've been waiting for concerning the discussion board, brainstorming worksheet, and the mastery journal. So Omololu said, become frustrated. Absolutely. They certainly did become frustrated after a while. All right. So this is for this discussion board, and I'm actually showing you the document so that you can see what I'm talking about, okay? So here it is, week 3, discussion board in FSO. This is what I'm discussing here, okay? And I want you, the reason I have it here, I want you to actually see it, the document that I'm talking about. Now, with a discussion board, by now, you should know what you're doing, and it's self-explanatory. So I'm not going to go through everything here, but I just want to highlight a few things. So complete the week's reading assignment, of course, right? And then watch the video presentation entitled "Do What You Love" by Tom Kelly. And then for your initial post, you respond to the following question. Okay, and here they are right here. Pretty straightforward. And of course that is due by Wednesday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. And regardless of where you live, okay, I know for some students it's kind of hard for them to adjust to that, especially they live in a different time zone. But remember, we go by Eastern Standard Time, right? So right now it is 8:27 p.m. Eastern. All right. And then your follow-up post. I know for the first class, some students are still trying to navigate their way through FSO. But don't forget, okay, don't forget your follow-up post, which is due on Sunday. And of course, that is due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. And that's when you respond to one of your classmates, okay? So pretty standard with the discussions, and that's how it's going to be through your degree program, all right? Next is your assignment. And notice this is worth 15%. And this is a brainstorming and research framework. And some of the same information you're going to use in week 4. Okay, so keep that in mind. And let me just give you a visual of what I'm talking about here. So right here it says week 3, brainstorming and research. Okay, and once again, that's worth 15%. So just a few highlights here about the assignments. You will conduct an in-depth review of the course concepts regarding your personal calling and social intelligence. Brainstorm project specifications, research critical elements, and develop a framework that will be the foundation for your mastery timeline that will be completed in week 4 of the course. Now, don't worry, I will show you what the template looks like in a moment, okay, especially for those of you who are more visually inclined. So concerning the project specifications for this week's project, you will brainstorm, research, and outline the following. Complete the Mastery Journey Framework worksheet. We'll see in a moment. Review career resources in your industry by using your program's resource guide and FSO's references. And all of you, have different degree programs that you're focusing on. Evaluate the Full Sail online course catalog, and that can be found on Full Sail's website. And then you're going to outline a personal SWOT analysis of your current readiness in your chosen field. And SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, and notice here it says bulleted responses are acceptable, but professional aspects such as spelling and punctuation are still critical. And also you will be conducting some research as well too. No, this is not a formal paper that you're going to be writing like in week 2, but you definitely need to do some research and include some citations in there, okay? So what's the deliverable? Assignment should be free of grammar, punctuation, and spelling errors. You're going to cite all research sources in text and on a reference page. And basically, it's going to be a Word document template that's available in FSO, and you're just going to fill it out, and that's what you're going to submit. And you will include a references page at the end, okay? You have some resources here available for you. Of course, this is in Full Sail, and then you should know how to access the online library, okay, through Connect. And once again, we'll look at the worksheet momentarily. Also, there's a video about the SWOT tutorial available in FSO. So here's the rubric, and you can take a look at that at your leisure, but also notice how much points for each section, okay? And of course, that's where you want to provide as much information as possible. All right. And in concerning references right here, evidence and support. So make sure that you have citations and references as well. Okay. And it tells you how many you need right here, at least 4 print or digital resources. Okay. So let me make this a little bit larger. This is what the worksheet looks like. All right. And listen, I know for some students, I mean, they get overwhelmed. They open this document, and anxiety hits them. And I understand, because for some of them it's like, wow, this is a lot of information, or this is pretty long. But listen, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So just take one bite at a time. As you can see, you have number one, number two, number three. Just start with number one, and you just fill it in. Okay, don't get overwhelmed with all the information that you have to do. And of course, you don't want to wait till the weekend, right? Especially Sunday to get this done, because guess what? You're going to run out of gas. Okay, so little by little. And I know, listen, majority of online students, um, they probably have a tighter schedule than on campus. Maybe you're working full time, you got a family. We understand that. I understand that, especially for my students specifically. But listen, you still have a deadline, right? That's how the media and entertainment is. So we want to make sure that, manage your time properly and just do a little by little to get it done. So, for example, number one, three trends that could shape your industry of choice. Well, you got to figure out, what industry are you looking at? Okay, is it the game industry? Is it the film industry? Is it music? Entertainment business. Every one of you have different desires. Okay, so you're gonna do your research and just include the information here. Now, yes, you can include bullet points, but if you're going to have bullet points, make sure it's substantial, okay? Generally, 1 or 2 words is not enough context. So just make sure that you have some meat on those bones, okay? 3 current companies in your mastery field, just do some research and figure that out. By the way, let me give you a hint. Um, okay, yeah, especially for current leaders in your field, many a times students might not know. I mean, some of you, you're probably so deep into it, right? But generally, every month I have students that just not too sure of where to find these people. Well, one point I'll give you is that look for the big conferences, okay? Who are holding these big conferences? Where are the big conferences being held? And then take a look at the roster. See who are the keynote speakers, who are the presenters at these conferences. And generally, these are the same leaders in the specific field that you're looking at, okay? So that's just one tip for you. So remember, when it comes to research, it takes time, okay? That doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes people think, oh, well, I spent 5 minutes Googling, that's research. No, it takes a little bit longer than that. All right. So that's one page. Here's the other page. Like I said, just do one section at a time, one bullet point at a time. Let me point out number 9. Evaluate the Full Sail online course catalog and reflect upon how each course in your degree program will tangibly enhance your mastery journey. Now, class, notice it says each course. So we're talking about, I know there are different degree programs here, but, talking about 10 to 12 courses, okay? So sometimes I see students might just give a little, paragraph or maybe 2 sentences. That's insufficient, okay? You gotta elaborate on every single course. And, we're talking about 1 to 2 sentences for every course, okay? So don't overlook that. So I'm letting you know in advance about that. And then your SWOT analysis, make sure you give as much substantial information as possible. Then you will add your references pages, okay? So your citations, just make sure you include what is required according to the rubric, and then, you include your a references page at the end, okay? Sometimes I know some people look at citations and references as the same, but they're not. Okay, citations are in the body of your paper, and references, that list comes at the end. Okay, all right, so let's move over here. And then we have the Mastery Journal. So last week you used Tumblr to create a mastery journal. This week you establish a personal learning network, or a PLN. A PLN allows you to collect and organize online articles and resources related to your area of interest. These resources will be critical to your personal development and allow you to stay abreast of industry news, information, and opportunities. So this week's journal will also be a 300-word post from you. So just to highlight a few things here about the Mastery Journal. It is a running documentation and portfolio of your work. Okay, this is very helpful that you're going to include this information on your journey. It's really going to help you to stay focused and encourage you as you continue with your degree program. So for this week's assignment, you'll complete the following 5 elements, which will comprise your personal learning network. And I do have at least one screenshot to show you so you can have an idea of what you're doing. So you have Papply. Papply is a social bookmarking website. So what you're going to do is set up a Papply account, okay? And then you're going to choose 5 resources to bookmark. Look for things that you're interested in industry-wise, okay? And then you'll post a link or a screenshot to your Papply account on your Mastery Journal. And I'll give you an example of that momentarily, okay? And then you also have Feedly. That's another application. Feedly Reader will provide RSS feeds to news sources of information. So you want to post a screenshot of your Feedly Reader on your Mastery Journal. And basically, we want to see that you did that. Okay, that's the reason why we're asking for these screenshots. We want to make sure that you've actually set up these accounts. Okay, create a logo for your name, and we have some examples here of how you can create your logo. Some of you already have yours already. That's fine. If not, here's some resources that you can use. And then you post your Mastery Journal logo on your Mastery Journal. So we want to see that as well too. And then I trust that if you don't have a LinkedIn account, you definitely want to get that done now. Okay. And post a link of your LinkedIn profile on your Mastery Journal. So, and then, you submit your, the link for your Mastery Journal so that, once when I say us, various professors, instructors, because multiple people teach mastery, we just can click on it and we can observe. We can see all of the screenshots for these different accounts. Okay. By the way, let me give you a hint about LinkedIn. You probably know that LinkedIn purchased lynda.com, right? And with lynda.com, every time you finish, a certain tutorial, you will get a digital certificate. And that digital certificate you can display on your LinkedIn account, which looks good. So potential employers, they click on your LinkedIn account, they can actually see these digital certificates if you allow them to be seen by the public. So that's a wonderful thing. So imagine, you got your bachelor's degree, you're working on your master's, and if you have the bandwidth, that let's say you can do maybe one certificate per month from lynda.com, guess what? That's going to add more weight, okay, to your resume and to your portfolio. So just something for you to think about. Okay, and then here is the rubric, okay, of what is required for your mastery journal, okay? Not that difficult, okay? But of course, you want to make sure you take your time to get it done. So here's the example I was telling you about. So here's a Feedly Reader. So this is a screenshot of it, okay? For those of you who are not sure of how to do a screenshot, here it is. So Command and Shift +3, I'll show you right here. I'll do it right now. That'll do the entire page, okay? Command Shift +4, I can choose exactly what I want to make a screenshot of. So like right here, I can do this and I can make a screenshot of that, okay? And then I'll just show you real quick. Let me bring it up, what I just took a screenshot of, and voila, here it is right here, okay? So that's what we're looking for. We just want to make sure that you have established your accounts for these different applications.
Going on this week is your discussion board with your initial post about doing what you love and talking about your strategies for acquiring social intelligence. That's due on Wednesday. Your reply post on Sunday. Your mastery journal, doing your Papley, your LinkedIn, your Feedly, your logo, and your inspiration is due on Sunday. And your brainstorming research worksheet is due on Sunday. Okay. Jennifer's asking 3 areas of improvement for each bullet point we write in. No. Just overall, Jennifer, 3 areas that you want to work on. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have 3 for each of them. Just choose. If you have 3 weaknesses, say I'm not as well schooled in coding as I should be as a graphic designer, then one of the things that I would put down as my area of focus would be to learn coding and then explain how I'm going to teach myself coding. Okay. Robin, I might have some questions regarding the internships and apprenticeships. Can I message you directly? Yes, you can. If anybody has any questions, you can reach me at erogal, type this as I say it, at fullsail.com. Okay. For some of you, you're already in your field and you're looking to advance your place in the field. So an internship or an apprenticeship might not be something you need, but you need to look at them anyway to just see basically what your company is offering people. It's always good to keep an eye on what your company is looking for so that you make sure they're not looking over you. So you want to keep an eye on what your company's doing. If there's new things that are happening and you want to move up in the rankings, then you need to be aware of all that. Okay? If you have any questions as you start to work on any of your assignments this week, reach out to your course directors through their email is the best way to do it. They're here to help you be here to help you. So they want you to be successful too.